Hey guys, Flip the Art here, and today I have an amazing unboxing on the new for 2025 Spirit Halloween Mutant Sewer Rat. Now, I recently acquired this prop when I was on a trip to Alberta and went to go visit my awesome buddy, Awesome Alex 99 in Calgary. I went to one of their northern stores, which was the first one open in the area. My original pick for the animatronic I wanted to get was Sinister Strawman, but unfortunately, they did not have any. So, Mutant Sewer Rat is the one I ended up getting. It was between him and Night Owl. I'm kind of half joking on that. I have conflicting feelings with that owl. But anyway, here's Mutant Sewer Rat. This guy is awesome. I saw him in the store. Can't wait to see him set up in person. From what I've seen so far, I really don't have any big complaints besides the latex. He is a little small too, but you know that's fine. I can deal with that. I managed to get him for, what was it, $227 with tax, so it's not too bad. It's Canadian too, don't forget. So it wasn't too bad of a price. I quite like him. I have a very, very special place in the haunt for him this year. I think that he will work fantastic in. Well, actually, it's more like I'm kind of building a scene around him, but you'll get the idea once I start my more in-depth haunt videos. Anyway, I think I've talked enough about this guy. He looks amazing from what I've seen in stores, so hopefully he looks just as good in this one, and this one doesn't have any deformities, and we'll see. But let's get into that unboxing.
So let's get started with the unboxing here. First off, we have his instructions. Very large, very nice. Nothing else in here, no adapters or cotter pins or anything. Next up, we got his clothing. Very nice, looks pretty thick so far and definitely has some weight to it. We have one arm. The second arm is very large tailpiece, very nice. It's just a fabric material like a polyester with some stuffing in it, and one very large posable enough wire, not super posable, but with enough force you can get it kind of bent how you want. But it does look very nice, and it works very well for the texture of a rat tail. Next we have both his feet. These are actually pretty nice, well, they're very nice and thick actually, and they're actually surprisingly heavy too, which is nice because they will keep themselves weighted on the ground because they're not held in place with any leg pulls. They also have both of their cotter pins in here, so make sure you do not lose those or else these feet are going to be a little bit annoying. I also like how they put the stickers on the top of the feet where you won't see it, unlike on any part of the foot you would see. Next we have both of his leg forms here with the metal and the foam. Here's the other one. We have his very large hunchback piece, which is kind of stuck in between some pieces of cardboard here, along with his head, which we'll get afterwards. But here it is. It's the same kind of plastic they've used on many things. I think Wanda has a very similar, not the exact same hunchback piece, but the same kind of plastic. It's very corrugated. It's very thick. It is vacuum formed, but with all the texture, it actually makes it very rigid, very nice. The welds on here aren't bad either. They're surprisingly thick for just the form here, but I do quite like this. Next we have his adapter, not outdoor rated, so be careful with that. We have his head, which actually has a very nice plastic underlay for it to keep the shape of the ears. Mine only has a little bit of deformity on the teeth here, but nothing that bad. It actually does look pretty good. I am quite happy with this. Yes, very nice. The whiskers are a very nice detail too. Very awesome. Unfortunately, pretty cheap latex. And then finally, some of the final pieces here, we have his hip loop. Actually a lot thicker metal than I was expecting, which is nice because it's a very load-bearing piece here. It keeps the legs and the tail. And for some of these final pieces here, we have his control box with the neck motor assembly, which has a very nice square pull on it. Multiple zip ties. I believe this probably did not come with a cover, unlike a lot of the new Spirit ones this year, because he was a much earlier prop. He is also the reason he doesn't have the same box art as the rest of them, along with Night Owl. Both of these are produced by SVI in early shipments, so very nice. And the welds are actually quite thick on this. I do quite like it. And for the final big piece here, we have the base with the one leg pull, if you want to call it that. So without further ado, let's get into the setup now. Okay, time to set them up. So starting off here, we obviously have the base labeled A and the pole labeled B. Just simply snap lock together. Next, we will take the clothing, the pants here. I don't know if there is a front or a back. This side here is probably the front. A little hard to deduce, but I don't think it will matter all too much. Next, we're going to take the hip loop right here. I'm just going to slide it on, making sure that the two forks here are on the back. Then we can take our pants and just put it over. Next, we can take the leg pieces. One is D, and I imagine this one is E. Okay, so they are separate. It's actually kind of easy to tell based off the way that the prongs are oriented. So we have this one on this side, obviously, because it's angled like so. So I am just going to make sure to feed it over the hip loop here and down the pant legs. And we will just put the forks in there, and that foot will sit like so. And we'll take this leg, yet again, same process. Keep feeding it until we slide the forks in right here. Great. Next, we'll take the feet. They are both identical, so it doesn't matter. Make sure to remove the cotter pin, slide it over the forks into the holes here, and a little difficult, but make sure that the cotter pin goes back in. Then we'll take our other foot here, slide the cotter pin off, slide it over the leg, and put the cotter pin. Next, we'll take our torso assembly here, snap lock it into here until it clicks. Then we'll take the hunchback piece here, and yet again, also just carefully slide it into here, similar to the forks and prongs, like such. It can be a little difficult, but there you go. Next, take the shirt piece here, take the stickers off, and fold it. I do quite like the extra detailing with the splatters and the extra creepy cloth layers. It really does add quite a lot of detail to this prop. Like I said earlier in the video, it was not my first choice for spirit stuff this year, but I do still quite like them and am quite happy with my purchase. Now, this could actually be proven a bit more difficult, and I might have actually messed up this step, but it looks like, oh, sorry, never mind. The whole thing doesn't Velcro. I was thinking I might have had to put this on before the torso pieces. So now I'll just Velcro this up off camera because it could be a little difficult. Next, you'll want to take the sensor, which is already attached to the torso component, and just Velcro it into here. We'll actually do another step here, which we could have done earlier, but I totally forgot about. The tailpiece here, you can take it and just slide it into the forks on his backside here. I'm going to take each of his arms, which are actually very nicely detailed and very, very nice plastic, very thick. I do quite like the paint job on them. They look very solid. The seams are actually pretty good on it. The sleeves are also surprisingly narrow, like very skinny, and it's nice because it conforms to the shape of his skinny arms, but you can just Velcro it at the wrist here and slide the whole arm up till you connect it to the torso. Next, we'll Velcro up the bottom of the sleeve here, which actually has a very nice amount of Velcro points. It has one on the top of the wrist here to keep the sleeve in place, and then the sleeve itself Velcros up so it's very tight to the arm here. Do the same thing on the other side here. We'll take the sleeve Velcro it a bit and feed it all the way up. And there we go. And I'll just quickly Velcro this up. And for our final step here, we'll take the head. Yet again, be careful in handling. It is latex, and latex can be known to dry rot, especially when in contact with human skin too much, so make sure not to be touching this guy more than you need to. But we'll just take it and we'll snap lock him in like so, and then connect the couple of wires coming from his head. And for the final steps here, we will connect the adapter and Velcro up all the points on the costume necessary. And that'll conclude the setup for the Mutant Sewer Rat. So there he was, guys, the new for 2025 Spirit Halloween Mutant Sewer Rat. This guy is amazing. Now, as mentioned earlier in the video, this guy wasn't actually my first pick from the lineup from Spirit this year. I was always the biggest fan of Sinister Strawman, especially because I don't own a Mr. Dark yet. Unfortunately, the store I went to did not have him, as earlier mentioned, so I picked this guy. Now, Mutant Sewer Rat is absolutely amazing, and I only have one con with him, and it's not even the size of the animation, it's just the latex. And there's not a lot you can do about that. You know, Spirit kind of had to do that because of his size and his budget. You know, you can't really expect vinyl from them. But it's a very good sculpt, and you know, it's easier to achieve with latex, and you have added realism with it. It's just unfortunate because latex is such a fragile material per se. You know, it dry rots, and it requires a lot more care than if it was a plastic head. But it does have a plastic underlay to it, and it keeps the ears and the rest of the face in shape, so you're very unlikely to find anyone with large facial deformities. Now there's some pockets and some wrinkles and folds here and there. Mine has a very small deformity on the teeth, but right here it's pretty hard to notice. You never really notice that because how short he is. But besides that, my face is really the only con, and I still love the sculpt on it. The eyes I absolutely love. They look so good in person. So realistic. I'm glad they didn't give him some sort of cartoony eyes. You know, they just like looks like realistic black, you know, empty animal eyes to it. And the lights do work. I do kind of like the lights in it. The hand sculpts are absolutely amazing, and all the blood detailing is very nice. It's actually pretty good looking from Spirit standards. Fortunate it's not really a bloody prop, but you know, the scarring does look very good. The fingernails are well painted, which can be a bit of a thing with some of these props, and the plastic on the hands and the feet is so thick. It's actually thicker than some like the Home Depot blow mold stuff. It is very, very nice. I like the filling on the arms. It's not the typical SVI foam filling, same material, but it's a lot skinnier. The sleeves are also very nice Velcros to keep the arms in that very skinny shape. The hunchback works. It is a very, very nice thick plastic. Well, it's a vacuum form plastic, but it's got a bit of a texture to it, so it keeps it more structural and more solid than a normal, you know, blank sheet of vacuum form would. All the metal welding in here is good. My biggest complaint with him when I first saw him released was the pull, but it is actually kind of hard to notice, especially with all that creepy cloth going down there. And in the dark, you would never see it, like, ever. I love the tail, it's posable. The arms and legs are posable to a degree. I mean, you don't really need to pose them. And the legs, they achieved very well. I think it would have been nicer still if it wasn't the middle pull and it actually had leg pulls, but with how small they are and how much of a knee they gave this guy and like the leg detailing with him crouching, this was the best option. My only other complaint with him, which is, this is very, very minor, but maybe more cotter pins would have been nice. because his arms are prongs, and the back form, and the hips, and the feet, and the legs, and the tail. A lot of working prongs on this guy, and he will probably fall apart. You can't grab him by the waist. The only real way to carry him would be, even the hunchback will slide off on you. So it's like basically you have to carry him from the center pole if you want to move this guy around pretty easily. But yeah, you can't grab him anywhere from the legs either. Besides that, you know, everything's great on him. The detailing, the creepy cloth looks good. In person, it adds a lot of extra detail. I like that. Definitely better than Mangy Rat. And I think the only reason this guy isn't more popular is because Mangy Rat exists and he feels like a lot less of a unique concept, especially because it's the same manufacturer. Like I said, the sculpt's better, the proportions, the sizing. He doesn't really need to be 6 foot. This 4 foot's a nice range where it's, you know, not unrealistically massive and it's not too small. You know, it's that nice size you'd kind of want it to be. It's either you do this or they do like a 8 foot rat, you know, like a giant monster rat. But this is a very nice size. All the detailing's great. Structure's good. I would say personally it's worth the $230 American and or $270 Canadian, especially compared to some of the Home Depot stuff. Yet again, the only problem is the latex, but he's unique. Despite the fact that he seems like a more niche prop, there's a lot of themes you could fit him in. You could fit him in like a laboratory, as in being like a lab rat, sewers, subways, alleys, if you're doing like even just mutant animals, or if you really want to do Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. He's great. I really just don't have a lot of cons with this guy, besides the latex, but I mean, what are you going to do about it? Just take good care of it, don't leave him out in the sun, and he should last you a handful of years for sure. The motors are good quality too. It's 2 motors, so it's not too bad. But besides that, just great. I mean, SPI did a good job. He does come with the old box, like I mentioned in the beginning of the video, which is pretty interesting because he was an earlier shipment. So he doesn't have that nice, neat slide-out tray that Spirit just loves promoting this year. But with all that said, that is my review on the new for 2025 Mutant Sewer Rat. I hope you guys enjoyed. This guy will be a wonderful addition to my haunt, and I just hope I can find a Sinister Straw Man later this season. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for the rest of my 100 nights to Halloween, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.